Now, this evening, I have for you all what I consider to be a message of hope, a joyous message, one that will, I hope, fill your hearts and minds with some definite belief in the future, not only your own future, but the future of mankind as a whole. The next master is coming. I was told this quite a few years ago. I'll read you a verbatim statement which I heard in Cornwall in 1958. It was during an operation called Operation Starlight when I was commissioned by higher intelligences to travel to certain mountains throughout the world, actually, and at this time I was going round the English mountains. And this operation had already started previous to this date, and this was the second mountain to be charged with spiritual energies as a holy mountain by, not myself, I was purely a channel for this energy, but by the cosmic hierarchy. I was on this mountain called Brown Willie on Bodmin Moor. I stood on a particular part of this little hill and energy was put into Brown Willie, making it holy. And it was then that I heard it. It was not a vague psychic apparition, or not a voice in the head. To me, this voice was quite physical, outside of myself, and terrifying. I suppose a declaration like this had to be made to somebody, and I suppose I was at the right place at the right time so that the following declaration could be made, and I suppose the people who made it, or the intelligence who made it, knew that I would spread it throughout the world, which virtually I have done. And I think that this is a great message of hope for humanity, in that the words themselves are complete and they leave no doubt whatsoever as to their meaning. In the past, we have had masters of great and unquestionable character tread this earth. Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Patanjali, and others, I Ching, and others. Great beings who gave man wisdom, knowledge, taught him the way back to God. But with all of these beings, their true derivation was enshrouded in mystery. During the birth of the Lord Buddha, 5 disc-shaped objects were seen in the skies, and the wise men knew that a master had come to earth. During the birth, or just previous to the birth of Jesus, one object was seen in the skies, and again the wise men knew a master had come to earth. This object is known throughout the world as the Star of Bethlehem. Now, although these masters in the past were not of this earth, even though they had terrestrial bodies, their birth was a mystery. There will be no mystery about the birth, about the true credentials of the next master. None whatsoever. I'll read you the declaration as I took it down soon afterwards. There will shortly come another among you. He will stand tall among men with a shining countenance. This one will be attired in a single garment of the type now known to you. His shoes will be soft-topped, yet not made of the skin of animals. He will approach the earth leaders. They will ask of him his credentials. He will produce these. His magic will be greater than any upon the earth, greater than the combined materialistic might of all the armies, and they who heed not his word shall be removed from the earth. This rock is now holy and will remain so for as long as the world exists. Go ye forth and spread my word throughout the world, so that all men of pure heart may prepare for his coming. I could have denied the existence of this, but what kind of man would I have been had I done so? The greatest of all hypocrites, a coward, a man not worthy of the name. There will be no mystery the next time. It appears as though this intelligence will come to earth as a full-grown individual, that he will stand tall among men, not only mentally, but also physically, that he will wear the type of garment known to me, but not necessarily worn by men of earth. In other words, the usual type of garment worn by someone from another world. This has been seen several times because there have been some, not many, but some legitimate contacts, physical contacts with men of other worlds. And all these contacts, including myself, agree to a certain extent with the type of dress these intelligences wear. It has no zips, it has no fastenings, it's tight from the neck to the feet, it has no pockets, it's It has no folds. It doesn't fold like the cloth of my suit. In other words, it's as though it's a special type of, I want to say, magnetic material which has been poured around the individual, and that's virtually what it is. So he will stand dressed in this way. This means he will not be born of woman. He will come here as a full-grown individual. I believe, personally, that when the next master comes, a vehicle of some kind will land, probably in a prominent place, probably in a not so prominent place. However, it will land, he will get out, and he will approach the earth leaders, and they'll say, "Prove yourself," and he will do so in whatever way is necessary to convince blundering, ignorant mankind. In whatever way is necessary. This doesn't necessarily mean to say he'll use force. He certainly will not destroy human life, although he may need to change property a little. And there are many ways in which such an individual could, given the power, given the karmic permission, prove his higher status beyond any shadow of any doubt, even to the ignorant masses. And we are told, and I believe it, I know it after the experience I've been through, and especially those experiences since, that his might, his power, his strength, his intelligence, his knowledge, in other words, his might, will be greater than the combined might of all the armies in the world. If you've ever met an individual from another planet who has come not as an earth man, but as what we call a full aspected being, you can believe this. They have powers the like of which are unknown to we mere mortals. So this next master, when he comes, will not come in mystery. People will not be able to argue, as they did with Buddha, Krishna, and Jesus, that it could have been or it couldn't have been. It may have been or it may not have been. This will not happen. The non-believers will be idiotic because a proof will be given in any way necessary to all men. And then I believe that the next master will lead men who are ready to what we might call a new age, a golden age, an age of enlightenment, put what name on it you like. I would also like to stress this point, though, that before this being comes, there is a great deal to be done. Most of that has already been done for you, but you will gradually, I hope, especially when the Aquarian age comes in, and it's now overlapping with the last age of emotion. When the Aquarian age comes in, I hope you will gradually begin to realize your responsibilities to mankind, to your fellow men, so that you may all help in that which must be done. And I feel that it is the duty of mankind to put this world right, and thereby make a demand upon the higher forces that the Master comes among you soon. As a matter of fact, I'll go this far, that if enough people were to make a big enough change within themselves this next week, I believe that this Master would come the week after. But with all the hope and faith I have, I know that won't be brought about. But I will say this, that it's up to you as individuals, collectively, as a country, as a world, as to when this great, stupendous spiritual happening must, not might, must take place. As far as the Aetherius Society is concerned, we intend also to lecture and propagate our truth and try and make people see the great importance of this coming event, and also tell people the truth. Gee, you know, of all the things I've done, and I've done a few, and some of them have been a bit costly as far as money goes, but that's the thing that's cost me the most. Truth. You know, I've heard some of these speakers, not for long, I haven't got the patience to listen to some of them for too long. I've heard some of these speakers and they talk about the New Age, and all you've got to do is to sit right there where you are. You haven't got to make a move, it's all going to be done for you. Ladies and gentlemen, forget it, it won't. I guarantee it won't. I know it won't. So we have to propagate a message of truth. And we have to say what we know about the next Master's coming, which isn't very much, by the way. Nobody knows much about it yet. But we also have to do it truthfully. And we have to be prepared to stand up and take slings and arrows because of it, by the way. Have to be prepared to stand up and say, if you want to go to the New Age, you've got to work for it. That the New Age will not come to you. You're going to be told how nice and rosy it is, and it's just going to happen. It isn't just going to happen. I'll tell you what is going to happen. A global war if you don't watch it. Total pollution to absolutely poison all your food if you don't watch it. Those things will happen for sure if you don't do something about it. The New Age won't. It'll come when you're ready. It'll come after you've worked for it. And this message, when we first put it out, believe it or not, emptied our lecture halls because people didn't like it. So another thing in which the Aetherius Society is going to stand boldly while I'm the president, and there's still a bit of life in the old man yet, is going to stand boldly and declare this as a truth. What about those who still, after all this, are not ready? Well, you know, I'd like to say there won't be any, but I'd be the biggest fool that ever came into this hall if I did. And if I said that and you believed me, well, you should come to the same lunatic asylum as I do. And they who heed not his words will be taken from the earth. The master won't go around killing everybody, he won't go around forcing people to believe in what he says, nothing like that. He's a master, not an SS man. But when the time is right, many will not be ready. They will not be ready for the next major step to be taken by the earth herself as an entity. So they will die, but instead of being reborn again on this earth, they will be reborn on another younger world. And they will go back thousands of years. And that is the law, ladies and gentlemen. Not as laid down by any one individual or any collection of individuals on this earth, but the law of the divine, which is all powerful and all pervasive. And they'll be reborn on another younger world, and then they'll have to fight their way back again to the very position that they're in today. You know, if you were to write a science fiction story about mankind, and you had a lot of people who opened a box and let great energies out and killed themselves, and then they went away and they were reborn again right throughout the slime of the killing, and gradually worked themselves up from the ape stage almost up to mankind again, and they got to the same position and they opened the box again and killed themselves again. You wouldn't believe it, but you've done it. You've done it. You destroyed Lemuria with atomic energy. You destroyed Atlantis with atomic energy, and you're on the verge of destroying the present civilization with atomic energy. And it's true. And it's absolutely a fact. All you have to do is to study the ancient scriptures, not the Bible, I mean the real ancient scriptures. The scriptures that were written 20,000 years ago. They're in English now. You don't even have to translate them from the Sanskrit. It's been done for you. And read the descriptions of the wars in those days, and the Brahma weapon, as it was wrongly called by the evil ones. If that isn't a description of an atomic beam, I've never read one. Why do you think there's a huge mass of coal in Siberia by chance? Where does coal come from? Tropical forests. Why is there a mass of coal in Siberia? Some of the largest coal deposits in the world. Why? Because the earth tipped on its axis once. Because before that time it was right on the equator. Why did it tip on its axis? Because some clowns played around with atomic energy like they're doing today. Might even go further back still and say, well, why are we here? And first of all, are we the bottom of the solar class? And I'd got to say yes. And if you're honest, you've got to admit it. And say, well, how did we get like this? And your crime is even worse. Yes, I'm afraid there's some people that are not going to be ready for the new age. Well, they will be reborn again on another younger world, and then they'll go through their systems of reincarnation. Just as you live on this physical plane for a time, you pass away, you go to another physical plane for a time, you die there and you come back to this physical plane for a time, and you gradually evolve like that until you're ready, and then you move up from this earth and up and on to other worlds, to other classrooms. So also will the dropouts in the intensive preparation for the new age and for the next coming master, so also will they be moved from this earth, and their reincarnation will start again on another younger planet, which is in this solar system at the present time. To all intents and purposes, this planet is in this solar system, and science is even beginning to agree that there should be another planet in this solar system. And that is a young, rugged world with plenty of volcanoes and lightning, just like you had when you came to this world. And those who are not ready for this world, when she takes her rightful place in the heavens, which she will have to do, you know, sooner or later, those that are not ready for this world will be born there. Now, just a word or two about that. You know, this awful picturization, and I don't like to bring it to your minds, because to me it affects me in a way that I'd rather not talk about. But you know, when Jesus was crucified, he was allowed to suffer for so long. Of course, you know why he was crucified, don't you? Don't give me the old rubbish about to forgive you your sins. Why should you be forgiven your sins? That would be against the law. But he died, he sacrificed himself at that time so that a catastrophe due in those days was held in abeyance. He died for your sins, yes, but not to forgive you your sins. He was allowed to suffer for so long, and the law said, stop, and he was taken away immediately. An earth, a world, is allowed to suffer so long, and the law says, stop, and she must vibrate immediately. Even if she destroys all life on her surface, she must do this. It's the law and can't be got round. Suns have to obey this law. Universes have to obey this law. Multi-galaxies, never mind single galaxies, multi-galaxies have to obey this law. Every supernova out there, and there are a few, is strictly within the confines of the law, ladies and gentlemen. In one way or another. We can't understand it when it gets that elevated. So the world will take her rightful place in the heavens. And the energy she already has within her will gradually, the release of this energy, be quickened and quickened and quickened throughout the coming years and throughout the coming centuries, until she vibrates in a certain pattern and she takes her exact place with other planets in this solar system, so that she is no longer the bottom of the class. Those not ready to go along will be the bottom of the class. And it seems logical, and it's fair. Because one thing I do like about the law is its absolute justice. For rich, poor, king or beggar, it's absolutely fair and just. For man, planet, solar system, sun, galaxy, super galaxy, it's fair and absolutely just. And that's what I like about the law. I think when I discovered this through meditation, really knew it, I'd heard about it before, of course, but when I really knew it through yoga meditation, it was one of the most joyous times of my life, and I thought, well, the law of man is so ridiculous and so cockeyed. At least there is a law which is absolutely perfect in its workings. And I think it's probably the greatest one of the greatest things that happened to me. So that is what is going to happen. So now it's up to us all, in all of our ways, to prepare for this coming. If we're still not convinced that another master will come, then we still have study to do. And we must look in our ancient books of prophecy, and we must look within our own souls where wisdom lies, and we must find this wisdom until it lives within us. But when we are convinced that this coming is due to take place, we must take some definite action to speed it up, to take as many of our fellow men with us as we possibly can into the glorious, brilliant new age which this coming will herald in. Now, the last question, and I'm bound to be asked this, and I'm going to answer it before I'm asked it, somebody's bound to say, when will the next coming take place? Well, I can give you an absolutely exact answer, ladies and gentlemen, down to the fraction of a second. When mankind is sufficiently ready. And I'm afraid no one on earth, in an earth physical body, can give it you nearer than that, because the coming itself, the time of the coming, will probably be a mystery until before it takes place. But mark my words, friends, even your most skeptical people will not be able to say it hasn't happened when it does. Take that from me. When people are ready, this great happening will take place. And it can't take place until people are ready. Thank you.